Merry Christmas!
I hadn't sat down.
Hello everyone! Thank you so much to everyone for watching our first video. We really hope you enjoyed it.
Did a lot better than we were expecting. We had over 1,000 views and more than 69 subscribers, which is awesome, so thank you everyone.
I didn't subscribe.
I did.
I don't think I'm going to like this show.
I wouldn't, you're in it. And one thing we forgot to say last week was about the name of the car, because both of us always name our cars. We've had Rory...
Say the full name.
Rochester Firthington Smythe, she was a lady.
Of course.
Yes.
So I had Betty. She was my beloved Vauxhall Corsa, my first ever car.
There was Angelina.
Yeah. And we loved Angelina. She was our... When was it? 63, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2013 Audi TT.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful car. The motorbikes as well. Ellie, Lara, Susie.
My best overall car was my original Tigra, my little...
That's a great car.
Little Tiglet.
And then of course there was the lovingly named shitbox, which was in fact a shitbox.
Pile of shit.
It lasted. So anyway, what we talk about? Car names, yes. And the MR2 is called Misty.
I don't like it. Feel free to leave your comments.
She's Misty, it's staying.
Not Misty.
Misty.
I've not really been here for this whole video, as you know, some of us have to work.
So unfortunately it's a bit of a me-heavy episode this week. I've taken apart the front end to inspect the damage, but first thing I did was fix the driver's side window. The driver's side window would go down fine, but wouldn't always come back up again. I found that if I wiggled the switch around it would sometimes work, leading me to believe that the issue was with the switch rather than the window regulator. I decided to pull the switch out and investigate further. To remove the switches, pry the front end of the unit up and then pull the whole thing forward, releasing it from the door card. Now, a smart person would have first used that multimeter to test the operation of the switches. I, however, am not a smart person, so instead I decided to dive straight in and dismantle the switch unit. As you can see, a lot of the contacts were dirty, which I suspected could be causing the intermittent fault. So I grabbed some IPA spray and some cotton buds and cleaned up the contacts. Of course, then I had to put it all back together again. Sometimes I forget that the SW20 MR2 first launched in 1989, meaning that, just like me, it was conceived in the mid-80s. The switch unit is a prime example of that mid-80s technology, as it is all very mechanical, featuring lots of small springs, levers and other parts that are easily lost and hard to reassemble. My advice to anyone else in this situation is do not pull them apart. With the switches back together, I plugged them back in, tried the switch, and nothing. It was still broken. Now, a smart person would definitely have opted to test the switches electronically at this point, but once again, I'm not a smart person. So I assumed the regulator must be at fault and started pulling the door apart. Once I had access to the window regulator plug, I connected it to a battery and the window wound straight up, meaning the regulator was fine. At this point, I finally had the good sense to bench test the switches, and surprise surprise, the switch was the problem after all. So off I went to eBay and ordered another set of switches. Let's play Spot the Difference. These new switches came from a Japanese car, so it has this mirror retract button. Power folding mirrors were only available on JDM cars, but it's something I'd really like to add to Misty, although first we'll need to buy some Japanese mirrors and a control unit. So I plugged the new switches in and attempted to wind the window up. Still nothing. Of course it does help if you reconnect the regulator first. New switches, take 2. Success. So it's currently the height of English winter, hence the hat. Had the car outside the garage for the last week or so. It's been surprisingly dry. but that's not going to last. So the mission for today is to get the wheel arches and the bumper off so you can expect the damage and see what really needs to be done, and then get her tucked back up in the garage for the winter. We'll take care of some smaller jobs then until spring comes round. This is the first time we've had the wheels off, so I was surprised to learn the dust shields on both shock absorbers had completely disintegrated, but then I was contemplating new shocks anyway. The front discs are only a couple of years old and are in good condition without any kind of lip. The pads also had plenty of meat left in them.
Here we see a human male going about his daily business. He seems completely unaware of the vicious beast that is silently stalking him.
So I should probably explain why I'm ripping this to shreds. There's one bolt right in there, and because of how this is dented in, I can't physically get to it with a spanner. So I'm basically just trying to tear, as this wing's getting thrown away anyway, tear this all away just to free the wing off. It's slowly, but surely going. That's the bolt that caused all the trouble. Now the wing is finally free. To remove the headlight cover, I had to undo 4 very rusty bolts. Try and guess how many of those 4 I managed to shear off. That's right, all of them. Even though they'd been soaked in plus gas. Fucking rust. Now to remove the driver's side wing. Both the bumper and wing are now ready for removal. The only problem is one rusty bolt holding the wing to the bumper, which I've been unable to remove. So the plan is to remove them both as one and then separate them off the car. I've covered the corners of the wing in cardboard to avoid the wing getting damaged as I remove it, and to also stop the wing scratching the paint on the door. Unfortunately, the camera died before I removed the bumper and the wing, but it actually went pretty smoothly. In order to separate them, I'm going to cut the end off the stud and then drill the bolt out. The first thing I notice now the bumper is off is how rotten the crash bar looks. We may be able to fix it, but more likely that will need replacing. The radiator is also looking pretty rusty, but we were planning to replace that anyway. In a way, I'm glad I ended up having to remove both wings, as the mounting point on the left looks to have been bent in the crash, so it's good to be able to compare it to the right and see that it has been deformed, so we will need to bend that back when we install a new wing.
So last week we finished our total on 356 and 19p, and this week we have spent £26.94 on some new window switches and a whopping total of £2.85 on postage, so as we can send the previous owner's ship back. So our new current total is £385.98.
So thanks again for watching. Next week we will be fixing the speedo and hopefully tackling some of the rust.
Hopefully it'll snow though.
Why would that help? Man, if those had broken and just got hot tea all over us.